Computer. I think we're recording, so we shall see. Um, but yeah, what we're going to cover today is I'm going to talk about the festive period. So I know this is something that lots of people have been sort of, well, lots of fitness people, I guess, when you're on a fitness journey, it's a time of year that sometimes people dread. And I don't want people to do that. So this is what we're gonna go through today. I've put "'tis the season not to worry." So we can still maintain progress, make progress, but also, plan ahead for Christmas as well. So I think, this time of year, there's lots of social plans, there's lots of good food around. So, what I'm going to talk through is how to manage your training schedule around the social plans, finding balance with your nutrition. So, being able to have a couple of Christmas treats, but also not go too overboard. Managing social events, and then at the end, I'm going to go through like a little December checklist. So, what I would expect from you as clients, but also how I can support you with that as well. So, first of all, we're going to talk about the time of year. So, it is a time for family social events. And I put a bloody good food because Christmas is probably the best time of year for food. There's lots of chocolate around, there's lots of crisps, carbs, cheese. And I don't want people to feel guilty if they do have, treat a couple of treats over Christmas because we're all going to do that. And I certainly wouldn't want somebody to track their Christmas dinner. I had a question from a client, I think that was about 2 or 3 years ago. She actually messaged on Christmas Day saying, like, how the hell do I track my Christmas dinner? And I was literally mortified. I was like, I don't want you to track it. And I, as much as I do say to clients, track as much as you can and try and eat and think mindfully about nutrition, we don't want to be in that restriction circle where we just feel horrible over the festive period. It's also a time of year where schedules get busy. We get invited to sometimes things we don't want to go to. And it all involves food. Some of it will involve alcohol. And then it is easy to feel like you're falling off track. So Monday to Friday, you've been really good. And then Friday evening, you've been invited to your work Christmas do. Saturday, Susan's having wreath making at her house. And then Sunday, you go into Winter Wonderland. And it all includes some sort of food and treats. So it can easily feel like you're falling off track. So what I want to do in this session is to reassure you that we can find that balance where, it's not going to be a perfect month, but we can still make progress. So you just need a plan and a balanced approach, and that is hopefully what I'm going to give you today. So managing your training around Christmas and the festive period, first of all, your schedule will look different. Okay, whether you have loads of social plans or not. Even, on the week of Christmas and New Year, gyms are shut certain days. So they will involve a little bit of kind of rejigging around with your sessions. But luckily, you all have me to help you do that. So, it's about tapping into me during that week or during that time where we can rejig things around, and make sure that you're still moving and getting your sessions in, but it might look different in terms of your schedule. Okay, so it's not about kind of not doing anything over Christmas, but it just might look a little bit different to what you're currently doing. So I've put consistency in December is doing something and not everything. Okay, so there will be boxes maybe left unticked over Christmas. So what can we do to make the sessions that we do? I was going to say do. The sessions that we can make, how do we make them a little bit more productive? And again, this is where you can tap into me to kind of rejig things around. We might have less time for sessions. So it might be swapping longer sessions for more shorter focused workouts. So if you've got, quite a busy schedule over Christmas, instead of doing sort of like 8 to 10 exercises, we might do sort of 5 to 6. Okay, just shortening it down a little bit, making sure that we're still having productive sessions but more focused sessions and making them more productive rather than kind of rushing through it and not really getting not really going through the motion and not really hitting that progressive overload. I put use minimum effective dose to keep a momentum, so kind of similar of when I said doing something but not everything. So instead of thinking, right, I can't get all my sessions in this week, so I'm just gonna write the whole week off. It's about maybe showing up to one or two sessions, and kind of reframing it around that. And then, do an exercise that might look a little different to your normal schedule. We should all be walking or getting some sort of steps in anyway. But this time of year is quite nice for walks. She says as it's raining outside. But we have had some quite cold but crisp weather. So, maybe factoring in some plans with family or friends over Christmas that involve, going for a walk. Full body sessions. So if you have sort of more than 3 sessions, so if you have between 4 and 5 sessions, usually there'll be a split down into kind of like upper, lower, or different muscle groups. So what we can do is give you sort of more full body sessions. So if you can only get 2 or 3 sessions in that week, then we can make them full body so that we're targeting everything. Again, just making them a little bit more productive. So instead of missing your 2 leg sessions, you could get in 2 full bodies where we're targeting everything. Because what I would say is if you can get in 2 sessions in a week, you can cover all muscle groups. Okay. So again, something that you might want to think about organizing with me closer to the time is right, let's have a little look at my sessions. Let's put the main compound lifts and into the sessions and get more of a full body exercise. I also was thinking about I did a post on Instagram the other day about like a 20 to 30 minute session. So I was thinking over the Christmas period, instead of kind of changing everyone's plans, putting a couple of like generic full body sessions in and just sharing them in the chat so that if you can't get your actual sessions in, you've kind of got something to work around. So prioritize training priorities for December and prioritize the big lifts. So what I mean by that, your squats, your press, your row. Okay, so the main kind of muscle groups there. Lunges as well. I know everyone hates lunges, but they are really good. So just prioritizing, the main movements really. We all know we have to squat, we have to do some sort of press, and some sort of row for your back. So if you can only get a half an hour session in and you want to do something full body, then we can prioritize these. So again, full body training, 2 to 3 sessions per week. Steps and general movement, which we should all be doing anyway. And strength maintenance over PB chasing. So what I mean by that is appreciating that, we're probably not going to be at our peak performance over the Christmas period, okay? Unless you want to put the cheese and the bread to good use. Some people do have really, really good sessions. I know Lauren, when she's full of pasta and cheese, often has PBs. But it's thinking about it may not be our best performance, but it's still showing up and maintaining our progress rather than kind of getting PBs. So I put there, don't skip training just because it's not perfect. And that is something that, probably if you take anything away from this session, I want you to take away that. So don't just write it off because it's not going to be a perfect session. But just remember that you can still have productive sessions. I'm glad you're enjoying it, guys. I know it's a small little group this evening, but if you do have any questions or any comments, please pop them in the chat as well. And then finding balance with nutrition. So firstly, you can enjoy some Christmas food and still stay aligned with goals. But there will be times where we also need to stick to the plan. Okay, so building meals around protein and veg. And if you think about a Christmas dinner, it has protein and veg. And yeah, in our house we have three different meats at Christmas. So we are getting our protein in still without probably you probably get mostly protein in your Christmas dinner, to be honest. Staying hydrated. So the basics, drinking water. I've got some electrolytes here. So just, keeping the day-to-day basics there. Okay. Because I think with Christmas and this time of year, it's like everyone's just like, oh, I'll just start again in the new year. And I really do despise that mentality because that's people that start this time of year. I think I said this to you, Stacey, the other day. Like people that start this time of year, if you can do it this time of year, then you can do it any time of year because it is the hardest. And then keeping your normal structure on days around social events. So, for example, when we go out next Saturday, I wake up, I'll have my normal Saturday breakfast. I'll have maybe a lighter lunch. And then I'll have my evening meal with you guys on Saturday. So it's about if you are going out, don't write off the whole day. Just think about, how you can stick to your normal routine and normal structure, still try and get your steps in, even if you can't train that day. So simple wins are aim for 1 or 2 nutritious meals per day, keeping snacks mindful. This is really hard to do this time of year because there's so much around. Like there's chocolate in this house already. Especially for you teachers and TAs, and I've got lots of chocolate for as presents and gifts. Offices as well. I know office is probably the worst place to be this time of year when you're trying to stick to your macros because there's everyone's bringing in cake, chocolate, and rightly so. But it is hard to do. So keep snacks mindful. It's about having 1 or 2 and leaving it there. You don't have to overindulge. And if you're struggling with tracking, think about just guiding your choices. So think about, everything that I've taught you about nutrition, which should be quite a lot. Talk to me about it as well if you want to discuss it with me. I've got lots of things coming up. How can I best approach this? So I think with coaching you always have to remember that I'm here to support. It's not, it's that's any questions that you get around that, always do shout. Managing social events. So instead of restricting, I just briefly mentioned this, have your normal meals beforehand. Try and prioritize protein in every meal, and that may include your meal out as well. So I know going out for food, I always try and have like some sort of steak dish or chicken. If I'm going to an Italian, there's always a better option to have or a healthier option to have. There will always be that. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have the salad. Okay, so um, there'll always be a salad on the meal, but you don't want to sit at your Christmas do having a salad, do you? I certainly wouldn't, so I wouldn't expect you guys to. The next one is really, really like important. Use the one plate rule at buffets. It's quite easy at a buffet to keep going up. Or have like you think you're only having small plates, but you end up having 5 plates instead of one. I used to be really, really bad for this. Like I love food. Um, and like any sort of like buffet, I would go up like I think I would just rush to put things on my plate and I wouldn't really look, and then I'd want to go up again and like have another look. So try and be mindful about, kind of the all you can eat element, buffets, cheese boards, things like that. You can still have it, but just kind of be mindful about it as well. Choose drinks that you genuinely enjoy, not just because they are there. So that kind of comes into play with things like bottomless brunch. They come around all the bottomless brunches I've done, it's been manic. Like they've come around every 5 minutes and I'm literally like not even finished my drink and they're taking an order for another drink. So it is really easy to, especially this time of year, to overindulge in that side of things as well. Um, Things like Prosecco, like I hate Prosecco, but if it's on the table and everyone else is drinking it, I always used to drink it because I just be like, oh well, everyone else is drinking it, so why not? So, don't give in to that pressure, I would say, food or alcohol. There is you can still go out and enjoy yourself and not have to overindulge in food and drink. Okay, so don't give in to that peer pressure. We've all heard it before where someone says, "Oh, you're boring," or just, politely say, "No, I'm not." So it is easy to give in to that. I don't want to call it like peer pressure, but it is that kind of thing, really. People around you are doing it, so you feel almost obligated to do it as well. So just be mindful about kind of, other people and their pressure on you as well. Avoid the high sugar cocktails. I don't know what it is about cocktails that they just do not. I guess it's like the mixing of drinks as well. Um, they can feel really, really heavy on your stomach, make you feel really bloated. We've all been there. So go for more of like a spirit, so like a gin and tonic, vodka if you're feeling brave, and trying to avoid quite like the heavier drinks, so the cocktails, the wine as well. I do love red wine, but it can make you feel quite heavy. And also kind of the day after, if you have had even one or two drinks, you will be dehydrated. Okay, so just prioritize your water intake the day of, and the day after. Um, Electrolytes as well. So you can get they really do help with a hangover as well if anyone is planning on having a hangover this Christmas. Your hydration is going to be key for managing social events. So I'm going to talk through now a quick checklist as a coach that I want you to kind of take away. First of all, being the all or nothing mentality. So this, is quite a common thing for, in a couple of aspects. But the all or nothing is if you have social plans, one day out of the week, it's not writing the whole week off. Okay. It is having that in your schedule, but putting your training around that as well. Okay. Putting your normal schedule. It's not a case of, right, I'm going out on Saturday. So it's an absolute free for all for the rest of the week. Okay. Same with kind of Christmas week. I think Christmas falls, I think it's like midweek. Okay, so the Monday and Tuesday, I think it is. What day is Christmas on? I'm going to check actually whilst I talk through this. So Christmas is actually on the Thursday. So Monday and Tuesday that week can be normal. Yeah, we can still trying to stick to our plan, stick to training. Gyms will be open on the Monday and Tuesday. Um, or just getting out for a walk. Okay, so treat that, that it's not a case of, okay, Christmas is on Thursday, so I'm gonna just write the whole week off. Um, just get that movement in. As I said, it's not going to be perfect, but do something, get some movement in each day if you can. Set your non-negotiables. So I'm going to get you to do this in a sec. To think about over Christmas, what is going to be your non-negotiables. So planning ahead for that. Not kind of beating yourself up if you don't achieve everything. But that's why it's about, what is your non-negotiable. So for me, it would definitely be steps because you can always get steps in. You can even get steps in walking around Christmas markets. Okay. So always thinking about how you can stick to your normal daily habits as well. Things like water intake. Okay. There's no excuse why that can't still be ticked off. Move your body most days. Okay. So whether it is a walk or whether it is a shorter gym session, you're still prioritizing that movement because the movement is actually what makes us feel, we all know what it's like. If we've been I was a little bit like it yesterday after preaching about rest, where I'd been in all day, I just felt a little bit sluggish. I felt a little bit oh, if I'm really tired. It actually sometimes makes you feel worse. So getting in that movement. After Christmas dinner as well. I don't know if it's a thing in everyone's house, but in my house, we just all fall asleep. We have Christmas dinner. I always get into my comfies like straight after, and we all just fall asleep. And then I wake up and it's like 4 o'clock, and I'm just like, what day is it? So moving your body sometimes, after your Christmas dinner. My mum always goes for a walk on Christmas evening just to like get some movement in. So yeah, sometimes that movement actually helps. Make choices for you. And this is probably the second most important takeaway that I want you to take away from this. Don't give in to that pressure from people. If you don't want to do something, you don't have to do it. Whether that is going somewhere or whether that is, we've all heard it. Oh, go on, you're not drinking. Go on, have one. There's that like pressure to do that. Like you can go out, you can still enjoy yourself. And I do notice with clients, this is one thing like people get better boundaries around this as they go through the process. When you're first getting into it and you're first getting into making these small changes, people don't expect it from you. It's like when I very rarely drink now, very, very rarely. I just don't enjoy it. And when I go out with my friends, like the first couple of times, they were like, What's wrong?" And I was like, "Nothing's wrong. That's just not what I want to do." So it's about making choices for you rather than what everybody else wants you to do. And same around food as well. Make the choices that you want to make rather than, what other people want you to do. And then the last one is still fill in your check-ins. Okay. So check-ins will still fall on a weekend, which won't interfere with Christmas. But I still want to hear from you. I still, will be taking a couple of days off over Christmas, same as everyone else. But still fill in your check-ins. Okay. Still keep yourself accountable. Still let me support you through making the better choices. And still take your progress pictures. Probably not the best time that you want to be stood there taking pictures. But still take it because after Christmas, then we can evaluate where you're at, how you're feeling after Christmas, and then make any necessary changes to your plan as well. So in between Christmas and New Year, I will be offering like progress calls. I know most of you, I chat to you I chat to definitely all three of you throughout the week. But yeah, it's really important to have a think about then after Christmas, getting back into your routine. And then the last one I put is be present because as much as I am preaching about, make the better choices, sometimes the better choice is to just be present, with your family. It is probably the only time of year where families really get together. Okay, so the last thing I want is someone sat at the dinner table thinking I shouldn't be eating this. Okay, I do want you to be present. And as I said, I'm here to support throughout that time as well. So I'm gonna ask you to set your non-negotiables. If you want to share them in the chat, please do. But if not, just write them down somewhere on your phone. It sounds like a really simple thing, but I want you to commit to, at least three non-negotiables for the Christmas period. So I've given you some examples, 8 to 10K steps, because over Christmas we do have more time off. So we do have more time to, get a morning walk in perhaps around all the plans. But generally we do have a little bit more downtime over Christmas. How many sessions do you think you can commit to, per week? I'm going to try and commit to at least two that week. I'll probably get mine in the Monday and Tuesday. Hydration, one nutritious meal every day around some of the Christmas treats, and then maybe like sleep routine. So have a little think about what your non-negotiables are, and how you can carry them, from today. I know it's 4 weeks away yet. People are like, why is she already talking about this? But it's about planning ahead and being prepared. So yeah, I guess I'll share mine. Mine is going to be definitely 10K steps, if not more, a day, because that will be some downtime definitely for me. And to be honest, that's my non-negotiable most days anyway, is getting steps in. And then I'm going to commit to two workouts a week. Um, and then I am going to also commit to my sleep routine because over Christmas, as I said, I will be getting some downtime. So have a little think about your non-negotiables. If you do want to share them in the chat, feel free. But we are going to be wrapping up now. And the next seminar that I want to do will probably be very early in the new year now, which is, well, it'll only be 6 weeks away, where I'm going to get you to think about, the year as a whole, the wins, but also think about like planning ahead for the new year. So that is the end of my content as such. I just want to open up to any questions if you want to come on the mic or in the chat. Anybody got any questions at all for me? I don't think so. I'm going to take silence as a no. Um, no questions. No questions. Okay, so that is the end of the content as such. But yeah, just have a little think about, any support that you think you could do with from me as well. Because that's what I'm here for. But I have recorded the session, hopefully. I never really trust it, but I'm gonna share it in the chat anyway. So if you want to watch it back, we can always go through it and you can always go back. But yeah, hope you have a lovely evening. I'm gonna make some tea now. Hopefully get an early night. I'm gonna read my book as well tonight. It's gonna be my little downtime this evening. But hope you have a lush evening, and I will catch up with you all next week.
Thank you.
Speak to you later.
Bye.